Hello, dear colleagues. Today we are going to speak about the landscape of cyber threats. We will speak about the technical aspect of this question. We'll analyze the statistics of what we see in the world nowadays. We will consider several cases of relevant attacks which take place against the organizations in Russia. We will see how it's being developed from the point of view of the technical support. We will consider that together, how to fight it in the future. I'm the representative of the Global Center. We call it GREAT. Today, on the stage, there will be many more representatives of expertise. So those who deal with industrial cybersecurities, they will speak about the malware of cars, or the automobile systems, the security of vehicles, and also deal with operational technologies. I will mostly speak about in the field of my expertise in information technologies. It's very important that all the expertise we can see on the slides. We have a center of expertise which deals with artificial intelligence, like, dangers where AI can help us, and also the utilization of data. We all exchange with our data, we share the expertise with each other, and also together we produce brand intelligence. And so the data which you and your companies need to see what is happening in the world and take all the necessary solutions. So I will start with the attacks, and I will try to dwell on the statistics and the incidents which in the Kaspersky lab has been investigating. So this is the data which is taken from the annual report the team prepares regularly. There are some key aspects. The first one is the vector of penetration. That's what every attack starts with. We see the exploitment of the public applications which are very vulnerable. So our technical director, Mr. Ivanov, is going to speak about that. So the compromised credentials, it's all very clear, and also the relationship in trust. And so I put a chain of relationship. If we have spoken about some individual incidents, for example, when the approach has been used by the attackers, but now they concentrate more and more so on suppliers, on contractors, and which have a privileged access to these organizations they deal with. And so the next aspect is the limited phishing. It is not gone. We're going to speak about that, and we will see how critical it is now. If we skip the middle of the attack and speak about the consequences immediately, they're quite evitable. And so you can see the leakage of information. Also, those who deal with records, they decode the data, they use the leverages, so that also the pressure on the potential victims. We investigated some cases, and so we need to be very careful with this data, because what we have seen today, considering the clients and our customers, the figures are not speaking. If we speak about this criteria, but if we speak about the industries, we see that it's evident here that the industry comes first as an indicator. The indicator of incidents is about 17%, and so this is number one now, and the attackers are the most active in this sphere. In this, the incidents are clear, but the picture is much bigger than that, and so the assistants themselves can be attacked much better. And so we have the statistics. If we consider the data in the second, so every fifth industrial system is exposed to attacks every quarter in the world, 20% in the world. If we consider the geographical differences, we see that this percentage is different. And so, for example, the maximum is in Africa, in North Europe, in Russia, it's quite big too. And so, if we speak about the figures, let's see how it is distributed. If we speak about the enterprises, what subtypes types of industry we have here. Biometrics comes first, and the automation of buildings, it can be extended, because all these spheres are the most accessible for attackers. And so we see that there are detects are at maximum here, and the maximum attempts to hack something by the attackers. On this graph, you can see how this percentage is changing. If we compare the fourth quarter of 2024 and the 2 quarters of this year, we see that there is a decline. If we speak about it in a more simplified way, we can see that the attackers do not need the industry. There is no sense speaking about that. For example, I can show you an example. There is such a tendency because the attackers are becoming more and more targeted. So the attacks are less numerous. The percentage of the attacked ones are less numerous, but it is becoming, but the attacks themselves become more and more complicated. And so the damage is more serious. And the last one, which can be observed from the point of view of these mass attacks, how they are attacked. So what malware is used? So they use all malware. Frankly speaking, for many attackers, don't care about whether this device is in the perimeter of this enterprise. We see much more than that. There are many more families of the malware activity, and so we can see everything there, starting with miners, Trojans, decors. And so the first thing we need to outline here is the attending of the malware and its resources and using the malicious documents. We're going to speak about that later. So if we speak about the enterprises and
Okay, yes, and there will be, of course, a lot of specific details and further presentations, but why do we need this? Who attacks and what's the motivation? And Evgeny Kaspersky started speaking about it, and I have a little bit of different view of it, but my classification is as follows. So first, we have these APT attacks, and so this is with cyber, of course, sabotage, security, and APT attacks are being sponsored by states. And actually, at the end of the day, it'll be political advantage that it'll be gained, and you can get there by different means and ways. Because in terms of the efficiency of attack, you can steal from the informational technology. So these type of different motivation behind these APT attacks. And if we speak about cyber crimes, cyber criminality, so they are looking for money and stealing, and more it's kind of hacking, and so it's kind of a protest and a demonstration of some kind, and manifestation of something that is they're not happy about something. But we need to understand a couple of things. First of all, we need a lot about we speak a lot about this hacker activists. They started from some universally. The trend is that they're becoming more politicized, and it used to be just slogans and share information, but now these are destructive ways, financially motivated activities, because they can encrypt data, they can steal something. So this goes along with their ideology. If we speak about some criminal gangs, so they go into this hacktivism, for example, and some of the groups, if we see that they go into destructive kind of activities. So there is no black and white these days, but still motivation and their activities are so much kind of overlapping in some aspects, very difficult to speak in kind of isolated terms about some of those groups. And what's happening in Russia, to give you an overview, I would like to share with you the APT group, Wake and Leak, so Liha, so they are quite kind of they use Cobra Wolf, so that another name. So, but they were kind of special because they didn't have their own implants and or malware, because they were focusing on building documents, targeted circulated materials that they sent out, and so basically they were using the tools of remote control of some devices. But what happens after that, if you add something on top of that, but thanks to our telemetry, thanks to our products, we were able to identify how they, let's say, develop their hacking and the schemes. So we found out that after they install VNC, so they start some reverse operations. They have the shell on Rust, and they have a lot of different tools that they use afterwards. Archon is being used for downloading and filter some documents from remote kind of machines. And here they not as just hacking activists, but APT groups, because all the configurations that they use they're made for the specific, let's say, particular case. This is not just the broad application. No, they're still in kind of targeted ways. So they attack those organizations in Russia. They are focused on this particular activity of this particular agency that they attack. And so this APT group, using kind of hacktivism, as we call it, but still they have this kind of destructive type of behavior, and so only 2 of them they had Viber. So the C++, goodbye Viber. So this was the way that they break the concept that the APT group should be kind of covered by some, I don't know, some activity. But now they kind of reveal themselves when they understand that okay, so they got kind of identified and caught, and then start burning everything around them. So from the standpoint of the industrial attacks, our APT group, which is called COFI, so we've been tracking them since 2022, and so they had a lot of tools in their portfolio. They used malware modules for Microsoft ESA. They used modified Explorer exe file through phishing. So we've tracked all that, and they still develop their things. And we have the new implant power module. They're using the PowerShell agencies or agents for the framework for the C2, and now they switched to using binary agents. So these are the powerful guys, and they've been using quite very kind of advanced techniques, and they're developing their skills. And what we see on the other side, is however advanced they get, there will be targeted phishing involved. So this is the example when the file, the virus kind of or affected file was kind of camouflaged for this type of file that has PDF exe both, and when you start this file, open this file, so you get this problem on your computer. And sometimes, for example, when you have this malware started and the document was downloaded from the command server, and sometimes you have this archived, and this is another way so to click on the macros, and the macros itself may not do anything special and on the log, but the next time you run this program, so it kind of unpacks and does the damage. So, and these are also the targets, only Russia and only critical spheres as construction, energy, mass media, telecom. So they're quite active here, and starting from 2022. And one of the final examples, you've heard about this particular hacktivists from Hedmer group. So there, as Evgeny Kaspersky said, that starting from kind of students, when they were students, they were trying to reach out to something. They had some screenshots and they posted all over the social media, so they wanted to PR themselves through these means, and so they wanted to draw attention to some of the matters that they view as important, but they targeted only Russia and Belarus, and most probably they're somewhere or another they are related to some of those areas. They're focused on oil and gas, transport. And here we see the evolution of those guys. We see the evolution of how these the kind of criminals, malware users, so they're using the files of polyglot files, and so when you start those files, so in different applications they behave differently, and here we see the transport phishing letter with an archive that starts this malware, and then you see, or the user sees the damaged container or some of those graphs. I had 65 seconds to deliver you some of the cases, some kind of interesting technical trends in this way, and from the standpoint of IT view and industry, but we have it in threat intelligence and threat intelligence portal and the services related to that. But if we roughly divide them, we have the machine, the data or the feeds that the machines read, and allowing you to detect threats within the organization, and then the person is reading some kind of digest of information, the machine is reading, the person is reading, and your personnel is able to understand. And we have the support of experts when they ask questions, when they ask us questions and get additional information. If this is the more simplified idea for you, so the more elaborate idea, so how many servers that we have, allowing us at all the stages of preventing the attack, and then further on to kind of tracking, investigations, and we go through the prism of our knowledge that is put together specifically for you. So here we have dedicated ICS threat intelligence, and we have the team that is working on the cyber threats. So they're collecting and they're talking not only the AT but OAT groups. And finalizing my presentation, because at the end of the presentations, people love some special quotes, and yes, that's what I wanted to do. So, so you win not by, let's say, responding to threats or attacks of your enemy, but you foresee their next move, and that's how you win. So, but basically, this is what we have, that the two main points, if we speak about security, so we need to look back and think about now and forecast into the future. And in terms of the threat intelligence, this is the tool that we're using, and we, as everybody else here in this room, we're afraid of all the malware users who are going to, let's say, attack the IT infrastructure, and then through IT they go into the headquarters of OAT infrastructure, and we don't want to see that, and we don't want to witness, let's say, if they pull the plug or like turn off the switch, or this is not only the, let's say, informational kind of damage, but physical damage. So let's prevent this physical damage. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.